Good afternoon, everyone. This is a new episode of the Off Topical podcast. My name is Gardner, and joining me today, we have Wolfgang. How's it going, my dude?
Hey, everyone. Yeah, it's going pretty good. How about you?
Oh, man, it's going great. I'm super stoked. We're talking about some cool stuff today. We're talking about Disney Plus has 94.9 million subscribers. We're also talking about CD Projekt Red's hack where the hackers actually sold this information. We're also talking about Microsoft's approach to Pinterest about an acquisition and the Florida water treatment plant that was hacked. All this and more today. Before we get started, I want to give a special shout out to Linode, the sponsor of today's episode. Linode is a company rooted in open source, built from the ground up to help you achieve whatever you want, both easily and affordably. Linode started in 2003 as one of the first companies in the cloud computing space, 3 years before AWS and other enterprise providers. They provide virtual servers that make it easy and affordable for you to host anything in the cloud. Building your own website? Most entry-level hosting services are fine for a while, but if you want to be in control, do what you want, and actually own your website, Linode is your step up to powerful, totally customizable cloud hosting. So whether you're into gaming, stuck on a proprietary hosting service, or just want to put a file in the cloud and share it with the world, Linode is there for you. Every plan comes with Linode's amazing, human-powered customer support. If you need help, someone will pick up the phone, respond to your email, or reply to your socials 24/7, 365. If it runs on Linux, it runs on Linode. Off-Topical listeners get a special deal from Linode, $100 60-day credit on new Linode accounts. Get started now by visiting linode.com/offtopical to get your free credit today, and thanks again to Linode for supporting Off Topical.
So let's talk about the Disney first, because Disney has apparently reported that they now have 94.9 million subscribers, which is almost half as much as Netflix has.
Yeah. That's crazy growth. That's insane.
Yeah, exactly. And as they project, they used to project that they will reach this number, 60 to 90 million, towards 2024. But if they keep up with the tempo, they will actually have 230 to 260 million subscribers by 2024.
Yeah, and 12 billion users by 2030, right?
Yeah, I remember there was an XKCD about this, about the projections.
Right. Well, there's an XKCD comic for everything.
Exactly.
Yeah, this is crazy to me because like the growth has been especially strong because of the pandemic. I signed up for a Disney Plus account literally so I could watch Hamilton, and then I think my roommate ended up actually getting one so he could watch The Mandalorian. I don't know. Do you have a Disney Plus account?
I actually got 3 months of Disney Plus for free when I signed up for my internet contract.
Oh,
so
wow.
I haven't actually used it. I think me and my roommate, we watched like something there, some documentary or something, because there are actually a lot of documentaries in there which I didn't know about.
Yeah.
But apart from that, no, I don't really like watch stuff on Disney Plus.
Yeah, I don't either. Is it the same where you're at versus where in America?
You mean like the same content?
Yeah. Like geo-restricted?
I don't exactly have like an American Disney Plus account to compare, but I think, save for like maybe a few like movies with like kind of weird copyright issues, I think it's pretty much the same. It's not like Netflix where you have like, you know, geo-fenced content.
Yeah, that, that's like the thing is like, for me, I feel like I'm spoiled for choice when it comes to that kind of stuff. Like, except for like Star Trek Discovery, which is on Netflix everywhere else, but in the United States it's on CBS All Access, which nobody wants. Nobody wants CBS All Access. But it's kind of crazy to me. The fact is that Disney is actually planning, 80% of their films and television projects are slated to directly release on Disney Plus, totally bypassing traditional television and like movie theaters. Like, it's very strange to me, like that Disney could go all in like that. If they have 94 million, let's do a little math. If they have 94 million, right? 94.9 million times, what is it, $5.99 a month?
I think so. Yeah.
That's oh yeah, that's 586 or 568 million dollars. Is that correct? That's
Think
crazy.
so, yeah. But at the same time, when it comes to like cinemas and movie theaters, that's something that people, pay for maybe once a month. Like when a new movie comes out and they want to watch it, they will go to movie theater, right?
Yeah.
But on Disney Plus, you also have movies that aren't in the movie theaters anymore, and people would still pay to watch them, even though they couldn't exactly like, do a new they couldn't like air it again on TV or in movie theaters because they're old.
Yeah. Right. Wow. That's a ton of money that they're
Yeah,
making.
and it's kind of dangerous for like movie theaters. I
Yeah,
feel the
absolutely it
fact
is.
that those like pandemic obviously didn't help, but then during the pandemic, those streaming companies they also realized that, and streaming companies slash movie production companies like Disney, that they can just kind of air their movies on their own streaming platform instead of just like bothering to go like through the movie theater or through
Yeah.
TVs. So that's kind of dangerous.
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, it all makes you think maybe this was all part of Walt Disney's grand master plan to have a
Oh
pandemic in
yeah,
2020. No.
they kind of collaborated with Bill Gates on that one.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was a little bit spicy. Sorry.
All I know is that noted anti-monopoly pundit Gardner Bryant says it's time to break up Disney. That's all I know.
Who is this guy anyway?
Oh man, I don't know. Disney. Yeah, I feel like the only shows that I care about on Disney are like Mandalorian, and I'm not even a Star Wars fan. Like
Yeah.
Mandalorian is really good. I'm more of a Jon Favreau fan. Like basically anything Jon Favreau does, I like. I don't know. Yeah. Do
I'm
you?
not familiar with him.
He was the guy. He was the guy who did Iron Man, like the first two Iron Man movies. I think he might have done a third
Oh,
one, and he did a movie called Chef, and I'm trying to think. I'm blanking on the rest of his stuff, but I've liked basically everything I've seen from him.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched the first two Iron Man, and I'm not sure if it's like nostalgia element. And yeah, I guess I'm that old where like Iron Man 1 is like nostalgic or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess I liked it back when I watched it. I like can't say I'm a huge fan, but yeah, when
Yeah.
it comes to Disney, I think they have like a big they have a big advantage when it comes to like if you compare it with Netflix, and that is like nostalgia, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
I
like a
mean,
lot
that's
of
what.
Disney stuff is nostalgic for people, like Disney princess cartoons and all that kind of stuff. Something that
Yeah.
Netflix doesn't have.
Yeah. Martin Scorsese actually, I think it was Martin Scorsese said that he thought that these like these big blockbuster Marvel movies were nothing but what did he call them? Like amusement park rides. Like he said they weren't really films anymore; they were amusement park rides. And I thought that was
I mean,
interesting because it's basically capitalizing on visual, like the iconography that Disney owns, like the intellectual property, but it doesn't have a lot of substance to it. You know?
kind of, I guess. I mean, at the
Uh,
same time, there's this like Marvel Cinematic Universe, and like I'm not like really into it. I don't know anything about it, but it's supposed
yeah,
to be like kind of deep in terms of like plots and
yeah.
all that kind of stuff.
I'm not a big Marvel fan either. I'll be honest.
Yeah, I mean, it's like it's cool. It's something that you can watch like kind of in the background.
Yeah,
It's simple enough to where you can follow the plot while doing something else in parallel. But I wouldn't like actually like deliberately watch a Marvel movie.
yeah, exactly. All right. Well, let's see. What are we talking about next? Calling all Linux engineers. AMD is hiring. Did you hear about this one, man?
Yes, it's actually impressive how like AMD is the company, like a mainstream company that is like probably doing the most for Linux in terms of like hardware support and drivers, and they just won't stop going. They're just doubling down. They don't miss.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm really impressed with like the support that AMD has, especially when you compare it to the competition. AMD focuses mostly on open source drivers, it seems, for at least for their graphics cards. And so, like, I have a Radeon Vega 64 in my desktop here, and I don't have to install proprietary drivers in order to use it, and I think that's freaking
pretty nice.
sweet. Contrast that with the Titan X that I have sitting here on my desk. And you have to have proprietary drivers in order to use it, or at least to play games. Like, you can use the Nouveau drivers, but they're not super optimized.
They're basically abysmal when it comes to performance.
Yeah.
Because of like NVIDIA.
Yeah. Basically, AMD are looking to hire a manager for Linux kernel development, a Linux technical lead, Linux engineers, and a Linux system architect, among many other traditional software and hardware roles. If you have any skills that might fit those qualifications, you can head over to the show notes. There'll be a link at the wherever you're watching this to the show notes here, and you'll find a link from there to the article reporting on this at Phoronix. These jobs are part of like a broader effort by AMD to expand their Linux support and bolster their Linux teams, right? I'm hoping that like what this means is that they'll be able to get their hardware supported in mainline Linux kernels and in distros when the product actually launches, right? Like, that would be a really cool thing to have from AMD.
Yeah, and I also think that they're trying to like rival Linux in the server space. So with their EPYC processors and with like Threadrippers, and that's that might be mainly like why they're hiring so many people like for Linux. That's just like my guess.
Mm-hmm. That's a really good point. Yeah, EPYC. They're really trying to push their way into the server space more. I mean, there are a bunch of EPYC processors deployed in clouds around the world, but if they can support the latest stuff in the Linux kernel in distros as they launch their new products, that might be able to give them an even greater edge when it comes to like worldwide deployment.
Yeah, it's pretty great. With AMD cards, there was like this issue with the latest Navi. I mean, with the previous generation Navi cards, to where you couldn't really use them for GPU pass-through. So basically, when you have two cards in your system and you use like the quote-unquote weak card for your host system just to render the UI, and you use the beefy card to pass it through to the Windows or something, maybe Linux virtual machine, and you basically utilize the full power of the GPU to play games on your virtual machine. So until recently, I think until the big Navi launch, it was kind of finicky. Like there would be some error with the 5700 and 5700 XT cards, but this was now fixed. So AMD is doing a real good job with like fixing those little bugs and just fixing all the issues, and yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, have you tried GPU virtualization or anything like that?
No, I was lucky enough to snag a 6800 XT almost on like a launch day. I was just F5ing like just as though I wanted to save my life, I guess.
Yeah.
And I managed to get one just $150 above the MSRP.
Wow, dude.
Yeah, and I kind of briefly tried it in Linux, but it was basically the launch week, so it was still a nightmare when it comes to like out of the box support. I managed to like compile the kernel sources from Git, and then I needed like a new like a Mesa also from Git, and then I managed to actually like get to the X11 to the UI, and it was still kind of like there were like a lot of issues, so I kind of decided to get rid of it. And I managed to exchange it for a Ryzen CPU, also a new one, on like the second-hand markets.
So you don't have that 6800 anymore?
No. I actually like bought a 3080 instead.
Oh,
Sorry,
okay.
I went to the dark side.
A 3080, yeah. See, I mean, as much as I don't like the proprietary drivers, I mean, they do perform well when it comes to NVIDIA on Linux. I really do want to like build a machine that does GPU pass through and runs like I have to run Windows for like the Adobe Cloud. Like I have to use that for some of my clients. So I really want to have a Windows VM rather than having to dual boot, and it needs to have a graphics card so I can actually like render videos with like what is it, NV encode or whatever.
Yeah, I mean that's doable. Like you can just buy like something like NVIDIA 710 or 730, maybe even passively cooled, to avoid the noise. You can just stick it in your system and use it for the host.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I really want to do something like that because, yeah, dual booting sucks.
Yeah, same.
Like having to reboot into Windows.
I know, man. I'm mostly running Windows on my desktop because the two things that I do on my desktop is editing videos and playing games. And for both of those things, it's like for me, two of those things are more comfortable to do in Windows because on Linux, whenever I try to like edit a video or play some kind of a game, like a Windows game, I end up spending more time fixing some like little issues here and there than actually doing the work. So I would also like to get like a second graphics card and basically game on Linux because like it can be done. Like I would be fine with like 5 or 10 FPS lost because nowadays with like Proton and with Steam Play, it's as easy as with Windows, maybe like almost. But like, yeah, when it comes to video editing, I would prefer to have a Windows VM.
Yeah, I feel that. I actually prefer Kden Live in most instances to Adobe Premiere because guess what? Kden Live is more stable than Adobe Premiere. Like I've had Premiere crash on me basically every other time that I've used it. Every other time, and when Premiere crashes, it doesn't just crash Premiere. It crashes every Adobe app on my system. None of them will launch after Premiere crashes, and it also prevents Windows from playing back any other video. It doesn't matter if it's
weird.
on YouTube. It doesn't matter if it's through VLC. It just won't play back video after that. It's
so weird,
crazy
man.
to me. I don't understand it. Like, and I said something about that on Twitter, I think, and someone said the problem exists between keyboard and chair. So it might be my fault somehow.
Oh,
but it happens. It's
that.
reliable. It happens every time. Like I can count on it.
It's weird. Like I also have issues with like DaVinci Resolve because like I really try to like it when it comes to video editing because it's just better than Premiere in my opinion when it comes to workflow, but it just crashes constantly. Like if I import like footage from my camera and from OBS, it just crashes. Like it kind of quits. Like it doesn't display crash message or anything. It just quits quietly. So I also went to their forums. And they told me, yeah, man, it's just like your camera sucks. Like it kind of outputs like a bad video format. You gotta buy our like $700 external recorder to record like in ProRes or something like that. So I was like, yeah, no thanks.
That's that I've heard a lot of like things about like that software Resolve because like that it doesn't like basically any consumer level camera or video formats.
Pretty much, yeah. It basically started off as a color grading software for Hollywood, so it's like serious business, right?
Yeah.
And it kind of slowly evolved into this like all-purpose, like general purpose, video editor for like everyone. But at the same time, it still has this legacy to where like it's very picky when it comes to video formats. But yeah, should we talk about the recent CD Projekt Red fiasco?
Oh, definitely.
So basically, I think everyone knows this at this point, but the developer of games which nobody ever heard about, such as Witcher 3 and Cyberpunk 2077, CD Projekt Red was hacked by some kind of criminals, and they also left a ransom note saying that, if CD Projekt Red doesn't pay them like $1 million, something like that, in Bitcoin, they will basically leak all the source codes for the games, and that's what they did. So basically, all this data was on sale on some kind of a dark web forum for like hackers and criminals, and it reportedly got sold. So the initial bid was $1 million, and they had a buy it now price for $7 million. So right now, that's sold.
And it wasn't just like source code either. It was like sensitive HR and financial info documents as well. There was like a ton of info in here that was like not even related to the games that they're creating. And also it hasn't been confirmed or denied that there were prototypes of other games that they had been working on that were stolen as well. So this is like a massive breach of CD Projekt Red, and it's crazy. Like the cybersecurity firm KLEA or CLEA, I'm not sure how you pronounce that, confirmed that there was the auction was closed on the dark web, and that hackers have reported selling the info. They said, quote, the hackers or the person managing the forum, I guess, said, quote, an offer was received outside the forum that satisfied us. With the conditions of further non-distribution in this regard, they were forced to withdraw the lot from the sale.
Interesting.
Yeah, which kind of makes me suspect that maybe CD Projekt Red actually gave in to their demands under the condition that they didn't distribute anything further, right?
Could be that.
Yeah, because it's not clear who made the, quote, satisfying offer, right?
I mean, obviously, because, if it was clear that they would probably be in jail by now.
Right. Yeah. It's very strange to me, like the world that we live in, where, hackers can just break in to any unsecured system, or even systems that have been secured but have weak, human, people who can be susceptible to phishing attacks or whatever.
Yeah,
it's just nuts.
It gets more and more dangerous the more employees the company has, because now basically your company's data and infrastructure is as secure as the least of like your computer savvy employee, basically.
Yeah.
So if you have someone who's not really into computers, who's like susceptible to like clicking some fishy links in emails, you're screwed.
Yeah, I mean, that's really what it comes down to, is like security comes down to the lowest common denominator, right?
Yeah.
And it sucks, because it's like,
it does.
This is me trying to solve problems again, but I just wish that there was like some way to secure stuff better.
I know. I mean, there are ways, but the problem is it requires a lot of money and a lot of like human power. But
yeah,
as you might imagine, like CD Projekt Red in the last 6 months or even like couple of years, that might not have been their focus. They were pretty much focused on like getting this game out the door fast, I guess.
Yeah. Right.
And also like about this CD Projekt Red hack. It kind of sparkled another discussion on Twitter, which I wasn't a part of. I was just a spectator, but at the same time, it made me question my faith in humanity, and like made me seriously consider like leave Twitter, because people were basically debating whether it was ethical to hack CD Projekt Red because the Cyberpunk 2077 release was bad.
Yeah.
Like a phrase like such as guys calm down, just because they released a bad game doesn't make it ethical to hack them.
Right.
Like, it was there in a very serious tone, and I was like, oh my god, okay, I'm leaving Twitter, bye.
Yeah. I saw something like that too, and I was like, I don't understand. Maybe their marketing was deceptive, but that doesn't mean that they should be like subject to mob justice, which is what this kind of is. Like hackers just took it upon themselves to exact revenge against CD Projekt Red for this. And I'm not defending Cyberpunk's launch. I actually played the first hour maybe of Cyberpunk on my streaming channel on YouTube, and it was an absolute disaster. And I was playing it through Proton, but I mean, a lot of the things that I was seeing, other people on PC were seeing, and so it's yes, they had a very bad launch. Doesn't make it okay to steal their data and to ransom it. That's not.
Yeah, and it's
not okay.
You basically you punish the whole company, and the people who are going to get the short end and the stick. It's going to be the regular employees, the developers, the programmers, who the launch wasn't even their fault. If you want to if you want to find someone to blame, I would blame the stakeholders, the CEO, the managers, basically people who hyped it up for the launch just to get more sponsorship, just to get more money, more capital, you could say. And then they got this reality check that the game wasn't anywhere close to being ready, and they decided to go for it anyway because they were you know what, screw it. Wouldn't care what comes afterwards. Wouldn't care about the backlash when we release the game and people realize it's a buggy mess, which is nowhere near even beta stage. But that's fine because we're gonna get the money. So whatever.
Yeah. So this is interesting. Kind of going off what we're talking about. When did you first hear of Cyberpunk?
I'm not sure. It's at this point, I feel like it's just been with us since some time. Kind of as this thing that we're all aware of. They're kind of like Half-Life 3, I guess.
Yeah. So for me, I'm pretty sure I heard of Cyberpunk 2077 back around the time that BioShock came out, the first BioShock.
Oh, well, I mean that was 2007?
7?
I'm not sure exactly.
Because that Cyberpunk trailer, the teaser trailer where it's that woman with the scythes coming out of her arms. Did you see that one? It's all in slow motion and there's bullets flying towards her.
Not really, no.
No. So I know for a fact that I saw that trailer. I downloaded it through Xbox Live, on the 360. And I'm pretty sure I downloaded it around the time I was playing BioShock.
I mean, could be.
It's just nuts because this game has been. I mean, if I looked it up on Wikipedia and it said that the game was announced May of 2012, but that doesn't. It feels like I knew about the game way before then. But the fact is, this game's been in development for at least 9 years, according to Wikipedia. So, what the heck? Why was it such a disaster?
And it was based. I'm not sure if you know, but it was based on the tabletop game, which was. I'm not sure if it was called Cyberpunk, but basically the guy who made this tabletop game, he was looking for. He made it back in the 80s, so it was way back in the days. And all this time, he was looking for a game development team to basically make a computer game version of his tabletop game, and it took him about 30 years to find CD Projekt Red.
Wow. Dang. I knew that it was based on something, but I thought it was a book. But I guess it makes sense that it was an RPG, was it?
Yeah, The Witcher 3 was based on a book. I mean, not 3, but just the whole series.
Right.
Was based on a book.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. But whatever. If you're one of those people out there, if you're one of those people listening and you think it was okay for hackers to attack CD Projekt Red, rethink your position here. It's not okay.
Reevaluate your life.
Yeah. Oh, man. That reminds me of Obi-Wan in the prequels when the guy came up and was like, you want to buy some death sticks? And he's like, you don't want to sell me death sticks. You want to go home and rethink your life. I love that.
Yeah, speaking of rethinking your life, Microsoft, that's it. That's all I'm going to say. No, just kidding. Microsoft is thinking about buying Pinterest, apparently.
Yes, Microsoft approached Pinterest about an acquisition. This was Let's see. They've been trying to enter the social media space for a while, and it brings to mind that they bid on TikTok last year, and they had acquired LinkedIn and GitHub, and I would consider GitHub sort of social media, right? Like it's like social coding is what they used to say as their tagline. And
I'd say it's like SoundCloud for developers, basically.
Yeah, right. That's a good analogy. So Microsoft had reportedly set their sights on Pinterest, which it was more of a consumer-facing thing than the professional social media that they had been targeting. And the problem is Pinterest, especially during this this pandemic that we're living through, is worth about $51 billion right now.
Oof.
Which seems like a lot of frickin' money to me, like way more than it's worth.
Yeah, exactly. You would think it's irrelevant, It's like on the scale of relevancy, it's close to like MySpace,
Yeah, but at the same time, like you and I are not their target demographic.
Okay, so who do you think is their target demographics?
Women. So the only time I've ever seen Pinterest being used was when I used to work at a design firm. They did interior design, and they sold furniture, and they used it all the time. All the women, all the designers there, all used Pinterest to collaborate with their clients. So it is a relevant platform, just not to you and me.
I see.
But $51 billion is a crazy inflated number. And I think Microsoft kind of realized that, right? Like, given its current value, I think Microsoft made the right decision where they stopped pursuing the acquisition of Pinterest. But it just started being reported about earlier. I think it was like yesterday or the day before. The value just wasn't on the table. But I guess it does kind of leave the door open to the idea of purchasing Pinterest when that bubble inevitably busts. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess we're not going to have our Live, Love, Laugh posters taken anytime soon.
Oh, we're living, we're loving, we're laughing. That's so funny, dude.
Yeah, like Microsoft should just like live, love, leave us alone. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. I love that. I want to turn that into a t-shirt. Like, Microsoft should live, love, leave us alone.
Yeah, I guess it's the same problem that kind of persists with all the meme t-shirts. They do fall out of relevancy pretty soon, so it's gonna be like kind of cringe.
Yeah.
Wearing that.
Oh man. That might be the best quote I've ever heard, dude. That made me laugh really hard.
I didn't invent it, unfortunately, but yeah.
Yeah, dude. Okay, Microsoft. All I have to say is Microsoft needs to butt out. That's what I think. Where's the SEC when you need it? Like, these guys should. I just don't understand the acquisition culture. Like, why?
Acquisition culture. That's the first time I hear that one.
As opposed to cancel culture or what? I don't know.
Yeah, just in general, X culture. It's acquisition culture is that's some bougie stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. It's the first time the way you get into acquisition culture is you start a Silicon Valley startup company. You overinflate the value of your company, and then you approach Microsoft or whoever to buy the company. That's some bougie stuff. Absolutely.
Or you write a useful program, or you make a useful service or website, and then basically it gets very big, and after a year Google kind of slides into your DMs and goes, "Hi, do you want to sell it to us for $1 billion? We promise not to change anything. We promise to respect your artistic choice." And you get the money. So how about that, kid? You go, "Yeah, sure, I guess I could use some money." So Google buys it out. They kind of go with it for a month or two, and then they just close it for quote unquote lack of interest.
Yep. Yeah, that's the Google way for sure. Did you hear about Stadia?
Oh yeah, Stadia, absolutely. I was about to tell you about the website called Google Graveyard.
Oh, I didn't. What is that?
It's basically a list of all the services that Google closed or discontinued.
Is that after acquisitions or just ones that they started internally as well?
The latter, I think.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, do you remember Google Wave?
No,
You
I
know,
can't say I do.
so Google Wave was like this idea that they had where it was like real-time collaboration boards. So it was kind of like Kanban boards, but it was also kind of like an instant messenger, kind of like email, kind of like Teams. It was very strange, but like it was, you could like go in and you could like create these boards, or like a wave is what they called it, and you could like collaborate and upload stuff and organize all of the stuff. It was interesting and I liked it and I used it a lot. And then they just were like, "Oh yeah, nobody uses this anymore, so bye-bye," and they just got rid of it. And it's like so much for innovation.
Yeah, it's like what you just described to me sounds like peak Silicon Valley, you know?
Yeah. Google Wave. I have to Google this now. Google Wave. Oh. Google
Is it still
originally
alive?
Google originally developed it as Wave, but it became Apache Wave in 2000. 2011. But it's still like a thing from Apache? If it is, that's weird. Dude, I don't know. It's strange. Anyway, that's a different rabbit hole. But did you hear about Stadia, though?
Yes, it was promised to be this big like cloud gaming streaming platform, but it was kind of a flop, right?
Yeah, I've seen that there are people that are using it, but it's not performing as well as they were hoping it would. And they had an internal game development studio, and they have decided that they're closing the internal game development studio, which doesn't bode well for the future of Stadia, in my opinion.
I see.
Yeah. I don't know. Google is one of those companies where it's just it's cringe, and it's like I just all the time I'm like, why does Google behave this way? It's so strange the way they will like.
Can you just be normal?
Exactly. Yeah. Did you hear about the water treatment plant that was hacked in Florida?
Oh yeah, that was crazy. It's where they use the team viewer to like increase some kind of a chemical level and basically try to like poison the whole water supply, right?
Yeah. Yep. So they use lye or sodium hydroxide in order to like deacidify. I believe it's deacidify the thing, and in small doses, sodium hydroxide is fine, but like they increased it. So the intruder actually increased the sodium hydroxide level by a factor of 100. I think it went from like 100 parts per million to like 15,000 parts per million or something like that. It's not good for for people.
Yeah, I guess you could say they cranked it up to 11, huh?
They did for sure. Yeah, the problem is that the plant was using Windows 7 on a machine to remotely access, or on the machines to remotely access the control software called SCADA, right? But what's even crazier to me is that all of the employees shared a single username and password for remote logins, and they were using TeamViewer.
Oh God. Real IT security hours.
Yeah. I mean, that is just... That's an abomination to me. So investigators said that unidentified actors accessed the water treatment plant's SCADA controls via remote access software TeamViewer, which was installed on one of several computers the water treatment plant personnel used to conduct system status checks and to respond to alarms or any other issues that arose during the water treatment process. It was using Windows 7, and which has been out of date since like January or of last year. Is that right? And
I think so. I think it's still it was either Windows 7 or Windows 8.1 that still receives the critical security updates.
I think it's
it was
8.1. I don't think Windows 7 has. unless you're paying a fee to Microsoft every month for security updates. I don't think they
Yeah,
support
exactly.
Windows 7 anymore.
But I guess the issue here is not really Windows 7, it's more like the TeamViewer part. Because even
Yeah.
if they were running like up to date Windows 10 version, the TeamViewer would still be the reason why it even happened.
Right, absolutely. But I think the Windows 7 thing illustrates that this not company, but this municipality doesn't take security seriously, right? Like the fact
Yeah,
that
I
it's
guess.
running Windows 7 and it's out of date, and the fact that like they're using a single username and password across the entire company
Yeah.
is unforgivable. I mean, it's tragically preventable. All of this stuff could have been, if they had one person on the team who actually knew what they were doing when it comes to cybersecurity, this could have been at least traced back to the source. Because I mean, we said earlier, right? Like we said earlier that that the lowest common denominator is your threat, right? And people are the lowest common denominator when it comes to computers. So
Yes.
like even if even if like you had like multiple sign-in accounts, you could phish someone and get their username and password. You could do X, Y, and Z to log into this thing. But at the same time, there were safeguards in place that would have alerted the staff to like dangerous conditions in the water supply if this attack had been successful, but it wasn't. And it wasn't successful because someone was watching the team viewer while the attacker was also logged in, and they watched the attackers use the mouse to change the ratio of sodium hydroxide in the water. Which, when I first read that, I was like, "What is this? A movie?" But no, like I mean, you know, like how in a movie, like the good guys are watching the hackers hack the machine. That's not how it works 99% of the time. But in this one instance, because the security was so bad, it was like a movie. Like
Yeah,
that's
I'm
crazy.
just like imagine this kind of like security guard like eating donuts, kind of like leisurely like sitting in a chair, and then he just sees the like hydrogen peroxide or whatever level is going up, and he's like, "Oh my god,
Yeah, like
what?
like a little
They
bit of
hacked the
jelly
mainframe."
falls out of the donut onto his like blue
Yeah, exactly.
shirt.
Oh my goodness, they hacked our systems.
We're being hacked.
Yeah.
He runs
How
down
did
the
they manage
hallway.
it? It was unbreakable. The password was 654321, not the usual 1236 whatever.
It was water supply 1 2 3 4.
Yeah, it was like Watery Boy 69, basically, or something like that. I don't know.
Oh my goodness. All of this raises a serious question for me though, right? It's like, why is critical infrastructure even connected to the internet?
Good question. That's a great question. I feel like if you have like very outdated computer software, if you have this very lax security, you could get away with that as long as your stuff is air gapped or like not connected to the internet at all. And I don't see the reason why it would be, unless it's like connected with the other like water supply plants across the town.
But even then, it should be like a private network. It shouldn't, like, if you're doing like water treatment, there should be, and you have to network it with other machines. Like, the municipality should pay to have it be a private network. Just doing things over the internet for that kind of stuff just makes me absolutely crazy. I'm like livid right now with anger. Oh my god, I don't even know what to say.
Yeah, I
to this.
understand. I understand, honestly. It's you kind of need to consider those things, especially if you're running like critical infrastructure, like the most critical infrastructure maybe that can even exist in a town or a municipality, the water supply, right?
Yeah.
Like you would think that would even like that would kind of motivate you to take security seriously, but no, let's just install Windows 7 and TeamViewer with the password 1234 and like, just write it out. See what happens. Unless it was a honeypot operation, by like NSA and FBI.
Right. Well, the thing is, like, I didn't write this in the show notes, but what I read in the article was that Chris Krebs, you know him, the security researcher.
No, but yeah, okay.
Well, he testified that he thought this seemed like something like an attack from a disgruntled employee. Like this, it didn't seem like a sophisticated kind of attack, but it doesn't matter really. Like, a disgruntled employee is just as capable of installing TeamViewer at their house and logging in as they are of selling their username and password to an adversary, or even like letting slip. Anyone can let slip this kind of information and cause critical damage. And it's like, people would at least be sickened. Like the city has a population of 15,000 people, and it's like people could at least be sickened, if not like killed by sodium hydroxide poisoning. And it's like, this stuff has to be taken seriously, and they really need to be hiring experts when they want to connect computers, or like, computers that are managing infrastructure to the internet.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's pretty like uncontroversial opinion, I guess.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm preaching to the choir here. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. It's super frustrating.
It's wild, yeah. So I'm gonna get to some questions that I got.
Yes.
For the podcast. And the first one is from MX Saturn. Best jelly bean flavor.
Ooh.
I actually don't know, because jelly beans aren't like that much of a thing in Germany, I guess.
Oh.
So like I'll just go with like orange or something.
Orange is good. I like orange.
Yeah,
orange is a good
I'll go with
flavor
orange.
overall. I'm a big licorice fan.
Oh yeah, that's that too. Absolutely.
Yeah, licorice is great. I love it. Alex Sibes asked, favorite metal band.
I don't like listen to metal per se, because I mean there are tons of like subgenres.
Yeah.
But I mostly like to listen to like gent and like post-hardcore kind of stuff. And I'd say North Lane, because they're like very vaguely like metal-ish.
Mm-hmm.
But I like this band a lot.
Nice. I haven't heard of them. What are they? Are they like gent?
I wouldn't like. I don't really know, because we live in crazy times. Genres don't exist anymore.
Yeah.
So they used to kind of like gent / post-hardcore / like electronic kind of stuff, and
Okay.
it's pretty interesting.
Nice.
And they have like a new frontman, and like in the new album they have this kind of like tragic backstory where like this frontman, he comes from like a family of addicts basically, and like the songs are all basically about like his abusive childhood and like about how he like got through it, and it's pretty like emotional, I guess.
Okay.
You could say.
Yeah, that sounds interesting. I'll check them out. For me, my favorite metal band, I don't know if they perfectly qualify as a metal band, but Deftones. I love Deftones.
Deftones are really cool.
My favorite album by them is Hexagram. They are just fantastic, and I think every song on Hexagram is just a gorgeous and melancholic sound, and I just love it.
I should check it out, because my favorite one is White Pony. I mean, I guess I'm pretty vanilla like that, but I kind of like it.
Another band that I really like, and I don't think they qualify as metal, but they have kind of a pretty hard edge, is Color Revolt, spelled like in the British color, like with a U. But they're like Southern American rock, but very hard. Really good. And I don't know almost anyone else who knows of this band, but I highly recommend Color Revolt.
I never heard about them either.
Yeah, they're really cool. Let's see. Stu Does Linux asks, on a scale from 1 to 10, how excited are you about the Snyder Cut? I think we talked about superheroes a little bit. I'm not a big superhero fan. Are you?
Not really. I mean, I do like the Batman trilogy from like Christopher Nolan. I know like that's a It's a very like vanilla opinion to like Christopher Nolan. I don't personally think his like, you know, his movies are like masterpiece of cinematography, but like, yeah, I like this trilogy. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I liked. I saw the second one with the Joker, and I didn't see the other ones. That was pretty good. And then
Yeah.
what was the other Christopher Nolan movie I liked? Interstellar. I thought that was really good.
Yeah, I mean, people used to like it. Tenet, I don't really like care much for Tenet. I tried to watch it, and I felt like the movie was trying to like outsmart itself, I guess.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one.
Oh, okay.
I saw what was the Inception? I saw that and I thought it was kind of pretentious.
I mean, I guess you could say that about like every Christopher Nolan movie.
Yeah, definitely. That's true. Do you have any other questions?
No, not like any kind of questions that would be relevant in the podcast, I guess.
I have one more. This is from Veronica Carey. Veronica asks, vertical versus horizontal workspaces in future versions of GNOME. What are the merits and the risks of altering an established metaphor?
Ooh, was that one question?
Yeah. So it's one question. What are the merits and risks of altering vertical workspaces and turning them into horizontal workspaces in GNOME?
I didn't actually look into it. Like, is it like a huge change or something?
I'm pretty sure that they are changing. Like if you have GNOME and you open up, your workspaces are vertically laid out. And in GNOME 40, I think they're horizontally laid out instead.
I think it's better, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I mean there are risks to changing things, but personally, I don't use workspaces that much, so I don't know. The risks are that you alienate people.
I mean, if you know anything about GNOME, they don't care about alienating people.
They like to make decisions that can irritate existing users. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, I love it.
I love GNOME. I think it's great. So, I wish that I had more of an answer for you, Veronica, because this, personally, like I said, I don't really use workspaces that much, and the risks are you're going to irritate your users, but really, I don't think that there's going to be that much of a change, like if it's going vertizonically, there you go, horizontally or vertical.
Vertizonically, yeah.
Diagonal is the vertizonically.
Yeah, they should make it diagonally. That would surely please everyone.
Right. Yeah. If you use the hotkey to go down one screen, you also have to use the hotkey to go over one screen as well, and then you have the vertizonically.
Basically, to get to your apps, you need to like Konami code your way through the workspaces.
Konami code, dude. Oh, that's great. Well, I think we're not going to be able to top that one. Thank you, Wolfgang, for being here as always, my dude.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, this has been the Off Topical Podcast. I've been your host, Gardner, and thank you for listening.
Yes, and give us 5 stars on Apple or Spotify or whatever. None of that 3-4 stars crap.
Absolutely. Do 5 stars only. Come on.
Yes.